Denver is building something dangerous. And now, with the season opener officially set against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football, the pressure, expectations, and excitement surrounding this team have exploded overnight. Because if the Broncos take the field and make a statement against Kansas City, the entire balance of power in the AFC West could begin to shift right before our eyes. But here's what makes it even more interesting. There are serious question marks surrounding the Chiefs for this matchup, while Denver suddenly seems more complete, more confident, and more prepared than in years. Bo Nix is entering the biggest season of his career. The Broncos have brought back almost their entire roster. The offense is evolving. Expectations within the organization are rising rapidly. And honestly, Broncos fans already feel it coming. This Denver team doesn't look the same as before. Before we delve into everything happening behind the scenes, be sure to like this post if you truly believe the Denver Broncos are finally ready to return to the Super Bowl. And I want all the optimistic Broncos fans to write in the comments right now, "Go Broncos! 2026 is our comeback season." Now let's get straight into this because there are so many storylines surrounding this matchup that Broncos fans should be excited about. The biggest one, of course, is Bo Nix entering year 3. This is no longer a rookie trying to survive. This is no longer a young quarterback learning Sean Payton's offense. This is now a quarterback who understands the system, knows the expectations, and is preparing to lead a football team that truly believes it can compete for a Super Bowl. What makes this even more interesting is the timing of the game. September football is completely different from December football in Kansas City. Even people around the league are already talking about how much better it would be for Denver if this game happens at Arrowhead early instead of later in the season. And honestly, that makes perfect sense. Denver gets a chance to attack Kansas City before the weather becomes a nightmare and before the season becomes a war of attrition. But there's another angle here Broncos fans cannot ignore. Patrick Mahomes is still dealing with recovery questions after the ACL injury he suffered near the end of last season. There's already speculation about whether he'll be fully ready for Week 1 or not. Nobody truly knows yet. And if Mahomes is limited in any way, that changes everything about this matchup. Meanwhile, Denver is coming into this season with confidence. Real confidence. The Broncos brought back almost the entire core of the team. Around 95% of the roster remains intact, and that matters more than people realize. Chemistry wins football games. Continuity matters. Teams that already understand the system can start fast instead of spending September figuring things out. And then there's Davis Webb stepping into the offensive play-calling role for the first time. Broncos fans are extremely curious to see what this offense looks like with his influence fully involved. There's a real belief inside Broncos country that this offense could become significantly more explosive than it was last year. The running game is another major talking point. Kansas City may have added Kenneth Walker on that huge contract, but Denver fans feel extremely confident about what the Broncos are building in the backfield. J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, and Jonah Coleman are creating serious excitement. There's already talk that Jonah Coleman could become one of the biggest surprises of the season. A true three-headed rushing attack could completely change the balance of this offense and take pressure off Bo Nix in huge moments. And let's not forget something extremely important here. People keep acting like Bo Nix cannot beat Kansas City. That narrative already took a hit last season when the Broncos defeated the Chiefs with Bo leading another fourth-quarter game-winning drive. Broncos fans remember that moment very well. That was not luck. That was growth. That was composure. That was a quarterback proving he could rise in pressure moments against one of the league's biggest powers. The respect around Denver is clearly growing too. Post-draft power rankings already placed the Broncos near the top of the NFL conversation. Some analysts are even putting Denver ahead of Kansas City entering the season. That tells you how dramatically perceptions have changed around this football team. And honestly, Broncos fans should embrace the difficult schedule ahead. Games against teams like the Bills, Rams, Dolphins, Steelers, Seahawks, and Chiefs are exactly the kind of battles that prepare a roster for January football. Weak schedules create lazy football habits. Tough schedules create playoff-ready teams. There was also an emotional moment that hit Broncos country hard with the passing of legendary quarterback Craig Morton. For many longtime fans, Morton was one of the first great leaders this franchise ever had. Before the glory years everybody talks about, Craig Morton helped put the Broncos on the map and led the franchise to its first Super Bowl appearance. His impact on Denver history will never be forgotten. The truth is, this opening game could completely change the national conversation around the Denver Broncos before the season even really begins. If Denver walks into Week 1 and defeats Kansas City under the lights of Monday Night Football, Every single analyst that doubted this roster is going to have to completely reevaluate what this team is capable of in 2026. And honestly, the timing feels perfect for Denver to make that kind of statement. Because when you really look at this roster from top to bottom, this doesn't feel like a rebuilding football team anymore. This feels like a team entering its championship window. The experience is there. The chemistry is there. The coaching stability is there. And maybe most importantly, the belief inside the locker room finally feels real again. One thing that keeps standing out is how confident everybody around the Broncos organization seems about Bo Nix taking another major leap this season. Year 3 is usually where quarterbacks either become true franchise players or start showing signs that they may never reach that level. But everything surrounding Bo right now points toward a quarterback that is preparing to fully take control of this franchise. He already showed last season that he could handle pressure situations. He already proved he could engineer clutch drives late in games. And now he enters the season with continuity around him instead of chaos. That matters more than people think. For years, one of the biggest problems in Denver was instability. New systems, new expectations, constant changes. Quarterbacks never truly had a chance to settle in and grow naturally. But now, for the first time in a very long time, the Broncos are building something that actually feels sustainable. Sean Payton has his roster. The offense understands the identity. The coaching staff stayed together. The players know the standard now. And Broncos fans should also pay attention to something else that could become a massive advantage early in the year. While some teams are still trying to build chemistry during September, Denver already has it. Bringing back nearly the entire roster means players already know each other's tendencies, communication is smoother, and preparation becomes much more advanced. Those small details are usually what decide close games in the NFL. The offense especially feels like it could surprise people. Davis Webb stepping into the play-calling role is one of the most fascinating storylines entering the season. There's a real sense that Denver wants to become faster, more creative, and more aggressive offensively. Broncos fans have waited years to consistently see explosive football again, and there's growing confidence that this version of the offense may finally deliver that. And then there's the running game, which honestly might become one of the biggest strengths of the entire roster. J.K. Dobbins brings experience and toughness. R.J. Harvey adds another layer of explosiveness. Jonah Coleman is already generating serious excitement internally. If Denver truly develops a dangerous three-back rotation, defenses are going to have a nightmare trying to prepare for this offense week after week. What's also interesting is that despite the difficult opponents on the schedule, there's a growing belief that Denver is actually built for these heavyweight matchups. The Broncos are not hiding from competition anymore. In fact, there's an argument that facing elite teams throughout the season could sharpen this roster mentally and physically before the playoffs even begin. And let's be honest, Broncos fans, this rivalry against Kansas City has started to feel different recently. For a long time, Denver fans entered these matchups hoping for a miracle. Now there's genuine confidence. There's real belief that the Broncos can line up against the Chiefs and actually expect to win. That psychological shift is enormous for this franchise. Even nationally, people are beginning to notice. The power rankings after the draft placing Denver near the top of the NFL conversation was not random. Analysts are starting to recognize that this roster has legitimate balance, depth, and continuity. And if Bo Nix takes the next step everybody inside the organization believes he can take, Denver suddenly becomes one of the most dangerous teams in football. At the same time, Broncos country understands